Hello. Can everybody hear me? Is everything all good? Is there anybody actually watching? Rip. Rob's not. Hello. Elilo? I don't know how to pronounce that name. I also still don't know if you guys can hear me or not, so... Well, hello to those of you that have shown up. Oh, cool. Awesome. So, today we're going to be wiring this MOSFET into a strife. Which is, right here. Not super happy with that clear coat, but there could be worse things. Yeah, it came out a little not right, but whatever. Awesome, glad to hear that's all good. Alright. So, we have our Malice cage all soldered up and ready. Reminds me of a first gen long shot. Oh, that, like the color scheme, like the midnight. Good, I like that. What clear coat do I recommend? It depends on your budget. But I mean, more importantly, the thing is, like, the kind that I get here in Canada is not going to be the same that you get anywhere else in the world. So it's really hard for me to recommend you a specific brand. I do have a brand I really like, but I can't really recommend it to you because unless you live in Canada, you're unlikely to actually get it. Yeah, Rust-Oleum isn't really a true lacquer, so I would not recommend it. It cures all funny and... I mean, like, it works, but... actually the diode is... actually kind of there to short the motors. Basically it prevents it's a flyback diode to prevent the basically you have when you shut off your motors, you get back EMF. So basically your motor becomes a generator and it generates power that it then sends back through the system, and that can fry your MOSFET like really easily. And then once this shorts out, it basically sets the motors on half power until your battery dies, so not ideal. So you put the flyback diode in to short it out, so basically it gets the electricity that gets generated is discharged back through the motor. It always entertains me that high's first message is high, and so it's just 3 of the word high. It's occurring to me now. that I believe I forgot to drill a hole in here for my wires. So I gotta figure out how to do that. Kind of, yeah. So I got a voltmeter installed in the back. This is an extra large one because the client that ordered this blaster doesn't have very good eyesight, so I threw an extra large one in there. I don't recommend doing this ever. It was horrible, and the finish did not come out very well. It just, I don't know, you can kind of see it's not perfectly lined up just because you had to remove so much material. Like, it barely fits between those two screw ports. Yeah, really don't recommend doing it the way I did it. Speaking of things that I probably did suboptimally, I need to figure out how to run my wires into here, because that's not right. You know, it always bothers me how awful the inside of these trays looks, but there's no real way you can get in there, and if somebody has a way that you can get flat into the bottom of this and, like, do a good job of sanding this, please let me know, because the bottom of my trays always looks like garbage, and nobody ever sees it, but it still bothers the shit out of me. We're just gonna try something, because why not, really? Yeah, that totally fits. It's 18 gauge. I'd like to get some 16 gauge just for larger motor requirements, but for now I think this will do fine. Am I happy with that? Is that acceptable to me? No, it's not. I'm not happy with that. Bugger it. It's PLA. I'm going through it with my soldering iron. An end mill might work. I mean, that's kind of over-engineering. I mean, you're right, it would work. It definitely would work, but I mean, as much as I love the idea of clamping this thing in a mill and then, like, I mean, I'd probably run like a CNC. Like, it's doable, but it seems a little like overkill. Yeah, I actually did that in the past, but the problem is you lose depth in your tray. Which, you know, there could be worse things, but, you know. So I've actually got a product in here that I have made for myself, and I don't know if I've made for anyone else, and that is like a little tray expander. So this actually like sits in here and makes your tray significantly larger. Alright, are y'all ready for the horrible noxious fumes that are gonna come from putting a soldering iron through? Nice. Oh, I overflooded it. Son of a bitch. This day is just, it could not be going better, guys. Sizzle. Alright. Punch a hole in this bitch. should probably do it. I might have to widen that out a little more. Are we doing anything in Fusion 360? No, the title is absolutely a misnomer. Let me change that right now. I just forgot to change it. Actually, that's a printed part, so that's PLA smell, which is significantly better, not only in, like, actual smell, but also in, you know, how healthy it is for you. Alright, title change. Title changed. That's smooth as fuck, Razor. Alright. Alexa, lights on. Wow, that really didn't help that much. No, that needs to be deeper. Alright. Now my wire should be able to fit there, no problem. Yep. Is that better for you guys? Can you see better? Looks like you should be able to. Problem is, once you, like, bury your soldering iron in plastic, you gotta, like, clean it up after or else it starts smoking. Come on. I know that, like, Chris or Catherine is gonna say somebody. I saw Chris in chat earlier. I didn't see Catherine, but it's just not going in the hole. Dear God. Dear God, Razor. You used to be so innocent. Cat is missing in action. I don't think I want to know what action Cat was doing when she went missing. Definitely don't want to know. Who am I kidding? Not going in the hole, use more lube. Yep, you're funny, Chris. How goes being stranded in Canada? It's, not that much of a desolate wasteland, but you got to experience, Winter Part 5. Bitch, you thought you were done with me. So... that's a Canadian tradition right there. You think winter is gone, you fool. Come on. Go in the damn hole. Just go in from the other side and just yank it. It's not really helping. Nope, that's literally just pulling the insulation off of the wire. Milo, you are a lifesaver. Oh. Milo just brought me coffee because I am going to die. God damn it, Razor. You used to be so innocent. I missed that. You're like the one semblance of sanity I had. Everybody else is just a bunch of fucking perverts. Motherfucker. Yeah, I'm just butchering the end of that. It's like, it's a tight fit, but it, like, I don't understand why it's not. Oh, fuck you. Come on. Maybe I can go in the other side. I know full well I'm giving you guys fodder, but at this point, if I limited myself to things that you guys wouldn't turn into sexual innuendos, I just wouldn't talk at this point. I am afraid, Chris, that that is up to the government of Canada, and I cannot personally give you a social insurance number. Yep, it sure is. Oh, you had your birthday in Canada? That means you're legally a Canadian.
Forgot to put sugar in it.
Oh. Thank you. I hadn't had a sip yet because it was hot as fuck. Thank you, Milo. Oh, god damn it. Like 3 spoonfuls because I'm a piece of shit. Why do you get surprised every time I say Milo? Come on, that should be...
Stereophonic sound for the home is recorded on 2 separate tracks, each one giving special emphasis to certain sections of the audio.
Alright,
As heard from those positions.
guess we're making this hole even wider.
Simultaneously on 2 separate systems, the sounds are blended together.
After I retrieved my coffee from Milo, who was freshly sugared it. Alright. This hole better be big enough now. Alright, and we're through. Man, guys, I got some great shots of soldering up a bunch of this stuff. I wish I could show them to you, but I'm not done, alas. So, well, I mean, the blaster isn't even done, never mind the video. Or video, if you will. Thanks, Ave. I think I need new snips. These ones are starting to die on me. Wiggly wire. I might be going a bit loopy. I've been working on this for a long time. Not this specific stripe, just this batch of commissions. Let's just grab our strippers and boom, stripped. Alright, we got our XT60 here from Foam Blast. I really like these black XT60s, they look really nice. I wouldn't have thought to buy them, like, myself, but they were just there, Foam Blast, so I was like, well, fuck it, might as well. And they're nice, I like them. Now let's cut a bit of heat shrink. If I can find my goddamn scissors. Oh, somebody murder me. I don't know where I put my... Where did I put my goddamn scissors? Behind my coffee mug. Smart as fuck. Chris, I don't know what that means, but I'm alarmed. I need this coffee in my body as soon as it's cold enough for me to actually put it in my body. Boom. You said murder me. Yeah. Yeah, right. See you in an hour and 45 minutes. I think I said this was going to be a 2-hour stream, so should be wrapped up by then. I'm just gonna attempt to do that, and then that's warm. Alright. That wire soldered on. Oh! Yes, our money does smell like maple syrup. It's not even just the 50s and 100s. They all do. believe when they first came out with the polymer bills, I think my first reaction was, oh man, my wallet smells like, shit, what was it? It was like, oh man, it smells like leather and maple syrup. And it's something sex life. I don't remember. I'm too tired. If I smelled your hair, would it smell like maple syrup? You know what, Razor? You're never gonna smell me. No. That's gross. You wanna lick Robo's beard? That's actually probably significantly more unsanitary, but also... You know. Eleanor, I don't know where you are, but I really, really, really doubt that, because the location of manufacture for that is Canadian money is either manufactured in Canada or at locations that are very secret, depending on what sort of money. So
Let me show you. Very simple. Very simple.
yeah, the location of the Canadian bills is actually a secret. Like a really closely guarded yeah, it's definitely Area 51. You found us out. We get our polymer bills made at Area 51. I did not cut a piece of heat shrink. And I dropped my solder blob. Not like a blob of molten solder, I just have like a little ball of it that I peel shit off of.
Tied the ends of the guitar strings to claves used for Latin American rhythm. And then he approached his victims from the rear, looped the wire.
Reported from Alpha Centauri. Yeah, there you go. That's the real answer.
As we jazz lovers say, this
There was a whole stand-up maths video on it, I think. It's a great channel, by the way, stand-up maths. Probably a mistake to warm up my coffee by stirring it with a soldering iron, isn't it? This is actually leaded solder. The unleaded solder is actually just as bad for you as leaded solder, if not worse. But the thing is, it doesn't say lead on it, so everyone's like, oh, it's much safer, including like governments and shit. But yeah, unleaded solder is much more likely to give you some horrible cancer or something. Whereas lead, I mean, if you just ate this, you might get lead poisoning. If you just wanted to literally eat this, you'd get lead poisoning. But that's, I mean, you're fine. Otherwise, it's literally just, well, it says on here, it's, that's tin, so SN and, PB lead. So it's tin lead solder. And, yeah, I mean, you know, don't breathe the fumes, but don't breathe the fumes on, like, anything. You're just gonna have a bad time. Yeah, don't believe the whole, like, oh, get unleaded solder, because it's so much better for you. It's like, no, it's actually worse. Come on, you fucko. I think this one might be dead. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think I've been soldering since I was like Oh. See, the problem is, when I look at the goddamn light, my eyes adjust to it, I can't see anything other than the candle flame. So I can't tell that I'm burning it, god damn it. Lead gives it that extra zing. So that's not the only bad part. I mean, basically, like, ingesting your solder is a mistake. I mean, no matter what solder you're using, you should be washing your hands before you eat finger food. Like that kind of seems like common sense to me, but maybe I'm entirely wrong. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of pulling the wires through. Trying to get it even. Failing, apparently. I'm gonna go check the length of the wire that I usually use for this kind of thing, just because I honestly don't remember how long I usually make it. Oh. But yeah, like, basically, you're talking about either ingesting it or, breathing it in. And either way, I mean, you shouldn't be breathing your fumes. Really, you should have a carbon filter extractor. I made both of these pretty short. Yeah, you should have a carbon filter as an extractor. And, yeah, obviously don't breathe that shit in. But then, like, yeah, if you're not worried about... What is this? Oh, that's the corner of the box that the camera's sitting on. But yeah, other than that, it's basically like physical contact and how you're ingesting it. So, I mean, just don't, like, wash your hands after. I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, I don't want to, I'm no doctor, but not that easy to get lead poisoning. I mean, I probably don't have lead poisoning, probably. And I've been soldering since I was, like, 14 or something. You guys can see this, right? No, you can't. Let's splice in here, and then we'll get our wire running down to our control switch here. And then we'll also get the voltmeter. And I haven't decided whether I just want it always on, or... I think I do want it always on, just because you really shouldn't leave a battery in a strife anyways, so always on seems kind of like the optimal solution here. And then this red wire is just gonna, it's just the positive wire. It's gonna go down and out to the flywheel cage. Yeah, so this length is plenty long enough. I could probably go double the distance and not give a shit. These strippers, by the way, are some of the this has relieved more headaches for me. Like, this has made my working so much easier. And it was actually $1 off of eBay. And Michelle and Adriana of Foam Blast bought it for me as a joke because they wanted to send me a mail order stripper. Which was a pretty good joke. It was funny. I appreciate that. Hey, Christopher. Yeah, Cat isn't here apparently. Yeah, $1 stripper. Who would have thunk? Yeah, I don't know what I want to do with this voltmeter. Alright, so this is the wire for the voltmeter. We're just gonna split it here. Either way, it's gonna connect up here. But yeah, for real, these strippers have relieved so much stress for me. Because instead of like trying to figure out how to like align this and roll a knife around the outside, or just kind of like grab it and stretch it until it breaks, it's you just chomp, honestly. Razor, I liked it better when you were an innocent child. What happened to you? I love tinning huge lengths of thick gauge wire. So it takes like 45 minutes for the solder to actually heat up the wire and wick in. Most of the fumes, I think, from solder anyway, are gonna be your flux. Actually, it's just, I mean, again, I wouldn't eat it, but it should be fine. You don't really have to worry about it fucking killing you or anything. I don't know, somebody can check on that for me, but yeah, good electrical solder has a rosin core, which is flux, and that'll flow over top of your joint to keep it from oxidizing, which this joint actually I think did. It's fine. Probably. Eleanor, what the fuck? There's like a bulge in the wire that this heat shrink just doesn't want to go over. Also, that totally doesn't make sense, Eleanor. That's rosin core. It's flux. There we go. Got that heat shrink on there. We don't have middle school here, so I don't really know what that means. God damn it. Do I have to blame Catherine for ruining Razor? Alright, we're just gonna hope we didn't melt any parts of the shell. Ah, blame the internet, that's a safe bet. Well, that's a load off of my conscience. Somebody's gonna make a joke. I get it. Y'all are depraved sex addicts. Okay, so I gotta tell you, like, I understand how a MOSFET works, but remembering the actual pinouts is a bitch, and I always, like, when I don't reference something, I get the pins wrong. Because it's different for MOSFETs than it is for transistors, because with normal transistors, you got, crap, I forget what it is for a normal transistor. Because with MOSFETs, you got gate drain source, but crap. I forget what, but I remember it's Eat Big Cookie, so it's EBC. God damn it, I don't remember. But anyway, I made these up for basic MOSFET circuits, and they're a lifesaver. Okay, it wasn't me. It was the other people in my Discord, I swear. God, I just want this coffee injected directly into my bloodstream. Okay, so got ground, motors, and then, alright, I can handle that. Man, that's a weird little flourish on her voice. There's a vibrato, is the name for that. Oh. Why do I know so much crap that's never gonna... I mean, maybe like impressing ladies that I don't actually... Dang it. Yeah, we're just gonna have this, have you seen Bobo's wiring plan for the 3-switch rapid strike? I don't know if Bobo made it up, but I have seen wiring diagrams for 3-switch rapid strikes, sure. They're not that uncommon. God, I'm so tired. I apologize if I'm low energy today. I'm just gonna try and rock the, overtired and not giving a fuck kind of mood, because that's kind of all I got right now. Do other people need, like, wiring diagrams for stuff like this? I mean, I like to know the pinouts of my MOSFETs, but other than that, like, I can wire up a full Arduino strife without really having to look anything up other than the pinout of the FET. Which, like, really on anything else, like on a switch, would be labeled, but not on a MOSFET, because fuck you, I guess. My phone. Somebody want to get a hold of me. Oh, it's Chris. Hello. Spam Man is texting me for some reason, even though he's in chat. Good to have a reference just in case. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, no, it's like, I don't know, at this point it's just drilled into my head. Basically, most circuits that we use for Nerf, even really complex stuff like Arduino stuff, you know, it's just inputs and outputs, and basically you can just you can take a really, really complex circuit and break it down into all of its individual component parts, and at the end of the day, it's just like, wire a switch into the Arduino if you want a switch, you know, and then like wire another switch, or something. And then, you know, it's the same thing for outputs. If you want an output, wire it this way, you know? So a really, really complex circuit can become really simple. And then you can just kind of make it up on the fly, because you already know what all the little circuits are, so... Remember when I was talking about don't breathe the fumes, and then I just sat, like, directly over top of this shit? Smart as fuck. That's okay. Something something, joke about the sweet release of death. Oh, motherfucker. Darn it. I find that if you try and reflow solder more than a couple times, you'll kind of start to get issues with your rosin nut. Like your flux not flowing properly. Support me on Patreon so I can buy a new Helping Hands tool. God damn it. This one cracked the other day. Like, just straight up just cracked. And now it's like, it keeps falling off at every turn. Like that. You know what? That's probably good enough. I swear I actually cut a piece of this shit here. This heat shrink, I think I have this much of it left, and honestly, I think I bought this when I was about 12, and I was using it to reinforce the antenna on a remote control car I had. And I still have it, so like, I bought like a meter of heat shrink, and I'm still using it, and I use it on like all of my Nerf projects now. I'm gonna have to get some more at some point, but for the time being, it's like, somehow I still have enough. It's not gonna... Is it not gonna... Darn it. Alright. Our voltmeter is now wired in. Let me shrink this heat shrink. Chris, I'm so glad that you made that reference, and yes, I understood it, so don't feel as though no one did. There's no reason toothpaste has to stop at just cleaning teeth. Need a battery. Perfect. Alright, voltmeter is wired in successfully. Spin that around. Boom. Just happens to be 11.1 volts, which is a really oddly specific number, but whatever. So I have to tell you guys, it's gonna be the first Malice cage. It's actually gonna be finished and wired into something, and I may use the last of my heat shrink on this. Unless I have some more hidden away somewhere, which is entirely likely because I don't use this quickly at all. Yes, I'm resting my helping hands on my knee. No, that's not a good way of doing it. But I'm doing it anyway. Because I am a goddamn adult. If I burn a hole in my jeans, it'll just look fashionable like this one over here. These are some of my favorite jeans. I've had them for years and somehow they still haven't worn out. Probably because I normally don't wear pants. Which, like, sorry if that's TMI, it's just the truth. It's like, I have my own goddamn house, apartment. It's like, if I want to wear pants, I'll wear pants. But I got nobody to impress when it's just me sitting alone in my house 3D modeling. You're an adult, but barely an adult. I have a solid 2.5 years of experience being an adult. Unless you're counting, like, unless you're saying, like, yes, you are technically of age, but not nearly mature enough, which while harsh, is not wrong. This solder joint did not go well. It's fine. We'll fix it. Ow! The soldering iron came with like a little rubber grippy thing. Just immediately removed it because it was uncomfortable. But, you know, it's more uncomfortable burning your fucking hands because you don't have a little rubber grippy thing on it. Alright. Now let's solder this other black wire. God, you're so old, Chris. On an entirely unrelated note, Chris, when are you coming back to town? I want to take you to the Early Bird. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's really good. You're gonna like it. You can have a fat Elvis, which is, just to clarify, French toast that is literally this thick. That is not an exaggeration. They take like a quarter of a loaf and they turn it into French toast. And they put in like peanut butter and bananas, maybe some bacon, and then they just put another one on top, and the fucking thing is like this tall. I've never had one myself, but I've watched someone devour one, and it is a monstrosity. So like, next time you're in town for breakfast, you owe me breakfast. And we're gonna do that. Get out of here, solder. That was an underrated joke that probably like nobody in this chat is gonna understand. Alright, that's pretty much, nope, not even remotely on there. I successfully soldered one strand. Alright, we're gonna try that again. Never be afraid to admit your mistakes. Because if you admit your mistakes, you can fix them. Whether that be soldering or whatever. Anything applies to anything. That's on there. That's really interesting. I don't know who you're talking about, but well, Chris, I am not picky as per an actual date. Whenever you are free, you are free, and I'm not worried about that. Something, I die free after calling you a showbot. I've been watching Stargate lately, and I can absolutely blame Kitten Claus Chris, you're saying don't you ignore me. I feel like I've responded to like literally everything you've said. I'm not ignoring you. Alright, now I need my switch in place, and then we just hot glue all this wiring in. I have a friend who, as a coping mechanism, takes a cracker, puts peanut butter on it, puts a pickle on it, puts a potato chip on it, and then eats it, and then sobs because she hates her life. Is that friend me? Because that sounds like something I would do. There's this particular kind of cracker that just goes really, really well with peanut butter. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know about the pickle, but everything else sounds good. I'm also not really a pickle fan, so maybe for pickle fans that would be a better thing, but she sounds pregnant. You know, we all have those days, Chris. I'm not gonna judge. Not, you know, days where we're pregnant. That rarely happens to me. I just meant, like, days where, god damn it, I sealed up this and I was supposed to put a wire in. Shoot me in the face, please. This doesn't look right. Doesn't look right at all. I don't think this switch is gonna work. I can literally see it not working. I don't understand. I don't understand what this switch is supposed to do. Yeah, I can literally see the switch disassemble, like, disconnecting. What is with this? What is this garbage? What is this garbage nonsense? We had 12-year-olds get pregnant. I don't even know if that's physical. I was not aware that you could get pregnant at that age. I'm really not confident that this switch is gonna work. I wonder if there's a fast and cheap way to check. Yeah, I got a breadboard around here. That'd do the trick. So I've just got a 9-volt plugged in here. And we're just gonna test it using a voltmeter. I mean, I could use... I have a rapid strike, but oh, fuck it, I'm gonna hook up the rapid strike pusher. It's just easier to get the pins in. Alright, so if we... Also motor braking on a pusher using MOSFETs, that's kind of cool. I'm really confident that this is not going to work. Well, I don't know how that works, but it does, so I'm taking it. But yeah, active braking. I was once invited to hang out with... Actually, in fairness, I was regularly invited to hang out with the cool kids. Which, like, sounds like I was a cool kid, but I definitely wasn't. And I just had a friend who was one of the cool kids. And she regularly invited me to their hangouts. And in grade 7, a bunch of them were like, hey, let's go fishing. And I was like, what? I did not take you guys for fishing types. That's... What? Like, yeah, sure, let's go fishing. That sounds really fun. Like, where do you guys go? There's a lake downtown, like near downtown that I like to go to, and it's, you know, sometimes really fun to go fishing. And like, she like pulled me aside and goes, we're not actually fishing. I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, we're gonna go smoke some weed. I'm like at the time, I remember thinking, like, we're like 12! Why are you smoking weed? Like, I turned down that offer. Man, those cool kids were actually, well, cool kids, the popular kids, they were actually, like, super nice to me, like, most of the time. Totally did not give them enough credit at the time. I thought they hated me, but, like, looking back, they were actually pretty good to me. God, who sells weed to, like, a like, fucking 12-year-old? Thank you for turning it down. I mean, yeah, more drugs for everybody else, am I right? I mean, realistically, I mean, totally gonna sound like a complete pothead here, but, I mean, Canada is legalizing weed, and the reason they're doing it is because, the only reason weed was illegal was because they couldn't criminalize being Hispanic in the States. But they were like, hey, those Hispanics, they smoke a lot of weed. Actually, it wasn't Hispanics. It was a much more derogatory term. And I think there's actually a recording somewhere of the president at the time being like, oh, yeah. Oh, fuck those people that... Fuck those... Yeah. Sorry, I just got a message and got distracted. Yeah, I think there's a recording of the president at the time saying something that amounted to basically, like, fuck the Mexicans. We're gonna outlaw smoking weed because they all smoke weed, so we can have a reason to legally arrest them. There's pretty much a recording of that, and then, like, I think somebody came forward, like, one of the assistants, like, one of the president's confidants, I can't think of the word, but, came forward and was like, yeah, that was totally the reason that he did it. He was pretty upfront with me about that, like, and that's just, like, super messed up, if you ask me, which nobody did, but that's fine. I'll give you my opinion anyway. Yeah, but Canada is legalizing weed because it's... No, not Trump. It was far before that. No. I mean, that was probably a side effect that people were... But yeah, realistically, like, marijuana is far less harmful to you than cigarettes by a long shot. I mean, yeah. I'm not encouraging it, but, like, the fact that tobacco is legal and marijuana is not, despite the fact that tobacco does so much horrible stuff to you, and weed is pretty much harmless. I mean, it's not totally harmless. There are some things, but it's some nonsense. It's actually less harmful to you than alcohol, which is also legal and fairly normal and accepted, so. Was it before World War II? I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. It just... the timeline was a little different in my head. Well, yeah, weed usually just chills people the fuck out. I don't know, I mean, it's Canada, so, like, pretty much everybody here smokes weed, so, I mean, like, we have a dispensary downtown where I live. Like, it's not even legal. Like, I'm 90% sure that it is not legal. But it still exists, and nobody really cares, so, like, it hasn't been shut down. It's just, you know, one of those things. It's basically, like, I think it's decriminalized at this point. It's not quite legalized yet, but it is decriminalized. It's, an interesting topic that I'm probably almost certainly not qualified to talk about, but I can at least give you a basic TLDR on why that's a thing. Do you smonk the good kush? I don't know if that was intentional, but I kind of hope it was. No, I don't really, it's not really my jam. I also don't really drink alcohol. It's not really for any particular reason. It's just not really my jam. No shame on people that do. Like, I'm not... It's just not something I enjoy. It's not something I look down on at all. Like, and if everybody's drinking and somebody is like, why don't I pour you a drink? I'm like, alright, fine. Like, sure, I guess. Like, I don't really care. Just not something I usually go out of my way to do. Which is interesting, because I think I have plenty of reasons in my life that I won't get into to not be interested in drinking, but doesn't actually, none of those reasons actually bother me. It's just that I don't, it's meh. Fun fact, getting caught with marijuana is still a felony in Kentucky. That's alarming. Yeah, those laws are pretty arbitrary at this point. I mean, they were pretty arbitrary when they were introduced, but even more so now. Yeah, and again, this is all, like, this is all stuff that, like, I'm sure you've heard 1.5 billion potheads say, but I don't know, I only actually care because it seems unjust, not because I serve to benefit in any way, because again, it's not really my thing. The concept of people going to jail over something that is completely, you know, well, not completely harmless, but far less harmful. It just bothers the shit out of me. Yep, there you are. Ow, that's toasty. Well, okay, I need to get some new heat shrink, and I've been using, like, this, like, baby blue shit, but I have no idea what color to get when I go and get some new stuff. Don't really have a huge preference, if I'm being totally honest, but thank you, upstairs neighbor, for moving a bunch of furniture and probably sounding like a huge fart noise on camera. Real appreciate that. Real appreciate. which is apparently something I just said for no particular reason. You know what? I have to cut off this heat shrink, so I'm gonna go grab. I'm gonna go grab a knife, a kniffy, to stab this bitch. Pull off that heat shrink, resolder that connection, heat shrink it back up. Are you talking about the Controlled Substance Act of 1970? I don't know it that well. Nixon had it outlawed to suppress. Yeah, that seems... yeah, that actually seems more... that seems kind of like what I was talking about. Yeah, controversial topics. I just have a lot to say on subjects that bother me. Oh right, I was also gonna go get the hot glue gun so I can secure down these wires a little better. No shame in using hot glue if you're using it for the right reasons. Or in the right places, rather. Well, I guess both are true. Yeah. Never use hot glue for anything structural, but if you just need to tack something down, like wires or something, hot glue is useful and fine. I really like glues that are just, like, can set instantly. For that reason, I really like using cyanoacrylates, which are, like, basically, I mean, super glue is a form of cyanoacrylate, but, it's not a, like, I don't know, super glue is really crap quality compared to the stuff that I use, just because, I don't know, the stuff I use, I think Out of Dark sells it, actually. It's actually, there's like a million different kinds, or, sorry, it's actually the same stuff, but there's a, you've been watching Divisive Politics with Alex. Yeah, yeah. You know what, I'll just grab a bottle. So I usually use medium CA. I've got a bottle of, thick and a bottle of thin, but I go through the medium the most. And there's this little silver part here, where you can actually, when you order it, when you get a minimum order, you can put your own brand on it. Like, it doesn't have a brand. So depending on who you buy it from, you can put whatever brand you want, and it's literally just a sticker and it peels off. So this stuff is good stuff, and it can say, like, fucking anything you want on here, but if it looks like this, it's the good stuff. Lurk level 12 out of 10, Mr. Nathan. I'm glad you stopped by, Mr. Nathan. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I have content worth watching sometimes. Then again, I do have, like, coming up on, like, 3,000 subscribers, which, like, by the way, holy crap, guys. Now, if this project and the regulator to finish, and then I can actually make videos for you guys. I made a post on Patreon that was basically just, like, me sobbing into the keyboard for 5 minutes because I haven't been able to make a video, in ages. Like, ugh. Yeah, like, I'll TLDR it for you, and it was basically like, I haven't made a video in a while, and I feel bad for letting you guys down, but, like, you know, that sounds like a cheap excuse when the reality of it is that I adore making videos. I love sitting down and editing and getting the cuts really nice and getting everything. It's really enjoyable for me. And, like, not only am I, like, do I feel crappy that I let you guys down, I also feel crappy because it's something that I love that I haven't been able to do in ages. So, we'll get this stuff done, and then, I don't know, I feel like I've kind of been using these live streams as a, I've been using these live streams as kind of like a not scapegoat, as a, I don't know, as an excuse for not making or I don't know, kind of the other way around. Like, I don't know. I've been doing these to make up for not making videos, but in reality, I really want to, like, that's what I love doing, is making the videos. But I've just been far too busy and far too stressed to get videos done. So hopefully that should change once I've got the Strife wired up, which, by the way, is going a lot faster than I expected. A way to ease into making content without a commitment to a full video. Yeah, sort of. I mean, these are quick and easy, and I get to talk to you guys, which is something that I was missing, like, when I was just making videos alone. Like I was kind of... There were several occasions where I really wanted to just, like, sit down and talk to the people who, like, were, like, really dedicated to watching my content, and I wasn't able to do that. And so these live streams are a great way to do that, and it makes me, like, I really do enjoy that. So I'll probably try and continue to do these live streams even when I'm doing videos. But I like the streams, they're pretty good. Thank you, I'm glad you think so. All the hip kids doing live streams might take another stab at that this summer. That'd be cool. I'd watch a Mr. Nathan live stream. I'm not normally a live stream type of person, but I'd watch a Mr. Nathan live stream. I kind of feel like your, like, long form integration videos where you're just, like, hacking at stuff with a pair of snips and, like, fitting stuff and stuff. Those kind of feel like live streams to me. I mean, I know they're not, but, you know, it's not the same thing, but definitely feels like it. Which is a good thing. I really enjoy those videos. Mostly because I just feel like I don't think I would have anything to add if I was watching you work. I mean, you are extremely good at it, and while I have offered suggestions in the past, there's lots of things that Nathan does that I don't know. I've seen Nathan compared to Bob Ross a lot, and I know he's gonna be like, flustered about that or something, but I really think it's true. If for no other reason than because Nathan will do something, like, he'll make something extremely beautiful and then do something, and I'll be like, what? 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 You just cut off, like, you cut off a huge part of it, and I'll be like, oh my god, no! Oh, what did you do? Like when Bob Ross, like, smears brown paint across a beautiful painting, and you're like, what the hell? And then, like, 5 minutes later, it's like 10 times better than it ever would have been if he didn't cut off a huge chunk of it or smear brown paint all over it. It's like the classic, like, ruined meme, and then like, it turns out to be completely wrong. and like you are completely wrong, and it's beautiful, and Nathan does that so much. He does stuff that I would never have the guts to do, like, and it always ends up working out for him, and I'm just really impressed by that. Like, he makes a lot of bold moves that I would not have the guts to make, and they almost, I was gonna say almost always, but I've never seen them not pay off. So, yeah. I hope that came across as the compliment I meant it as. It's quite a skill that I wish that I had. I'm like always wary whenever I make any cuts, and Nathan just seems to do it like carefree, just huge dangerous cuts, and is just like boom, done, works amazing. I'm like, oh god, how? Good, I'm glad you took it as a compliment. Because there was a part in there where I said something about everything being ruined. So it could have been easy to misinterpret. Sometimes my points are a little bit... sometimes my points are a little bit long form, I don't know. Come on. Alright. I almost put my soldering iron in the back of my hot glue gun, which would have been a mistake. Alright, I think that's attached. Mr. Nathan. Yeah, exactly. Like, somehow it all works out. At some point, Nathan, I would like to have a chat to you about... There was a part that I was making that you took great interest in, that I said I had no plans on producing, but would likely be convinced to make one for you. And at some point, I'd like to chat to you about that. Not anything in particular, just, you know, could use your advice and all sorts of things. Even has animal friends on his videos like Bob Ross used to. Yep, you're right, Chris. Yeah, I actually, I regularly come to Mr. Nathan when I have issues with the model car I've been building, just to keep my sanity. Just build something that isn't Nerf related. How do you guys feel about videos that aren't, like, super nerfy? I mean, I did the PC build, but it didn't turn out nearly as well as I had hoped it would, and I had some issues with copyright on that one. There was some bullshit copyright stuff going on that, more than anything, I mean, like, I would have gotten, like, 50 cents off of that video. So, like, I'm not really mad about it. Like, I put several hours into it, and I would have gotten 50 cents, but instead I got nothing. So that one kind of didn't turn out, but, like, I got a new phone that has a really, actually quite amazing camera on it. And I've been taking some really good shots with it. But one of the biggest things is I would really like to make something. Actually, Bob Claggett of I Like to Make Stuff did exactly what I was planning on doing like a week ago or something, just kind of like, basically like so I got a OnePlus 5, and it's got an awesome camera, but what he did was he made a little stand for a camera that was kind of like 2 posts, so you kind of spread out your hands, so it was a little easier to keep it stable. And so you can get much better, cleaner shots with it. So I was thinking about doing something like that, and doing a video on it, probably with a lot of 3D printing. I know Bob did his mostly with wood and aluminum, but I was gonna do like some sort of base material and then some like 3D printing going on. I don't know. How would you guys feel about that? Like that kind of thing. And there's also some woodworking that I'm looking into doing soon. That's a very sweet compliment, Mr. Nathan. Yeah, I don't know, when I was growing up, my brother was always the engineering one, and my sister was always the artistic one, and they were kind of always having a battle over which side I would pick. Like, my brother wanted me to get into engineering, and my sister wanted me to be more art-focused, and so they were always, like, kind of pulling me either way, and in the end, it kind of worked out that I'd like to think that I'm, like, mediocre at both, yeah, I like to think that I can kind of take the engineering and artistic and put it together. I don't know why I love NARF so much. Like, I can engineer something really cool, like this flywheel cage, and then stick it in something, paint it up all nice. I'd totally talk to you about this mystery part. I'm intrigued. It's a stock. And that is all I'll say. I feel like you'll probably get it from that. But you said you were interested in it. And before anyone goes nuts, no, it's not Proto-Strike stock. Yeah. I'm just kind of shoving these wires down in here. Does anybody else have the problem where your hot glue gun gets to a point where, like, it kind of melts the bit where it's supposed to be squeezing, so it just kind of compresses instead of actually extruding? Because I'm having that problem at the moment, and I haven't quite figured out what causes it. But it's obnoxious as all hell. You lick your finger and then run it over a hot glue joint, it won't stick to your hand and it'll kind of keep it a little cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Alice's scratch-built blaster is phenomenal. Yeah, I can't wait. My Patreon has seen that video already. So hopefully they think it's as awesome as I think it is. Hopefully everyone thinks it's as awesome as I think it is. I'm glad that you all think that, because frankly, I worked my ass off on it. Yeah, right. Did you see it in person? I trust you, I just didn't remember that. Interesting. I think that's spinning the right way. These things sound horrible with a 9-volt on them, which really shouldn't surprise me that much. And then her prototype one she was showing off in her first stream was pretty awesome too. I don't remember that, but... Okay, so all we have to do now is solder onto here. Everything else should be done. So we're just gonna, like, do a final assembly on this. For, like, well, not final assembly. I still need to cut out a window here. But that's fine, it's not a huge priority for me. Or it's not a huge problem, I can do that in, like, 5 minutes or... I should do, like, at least a little bit of a clip on how I modify these trigger switches to feel as nice as they do. I think Razor tried out the switch on Proto Strife and said it was pretty awesome. I know he really liked the stock, but... You showed off a couple of prototypes on your computer. Yeah, yeah, just mock-ups? Yeah, I showed off some of those. Hate the Strife trigger, tried it once, and I wanted to throw up a little. Sorry, I meant the Rev trigger. I do have an upgrade for the main trigger, but, it's kind of a 3D printed part as opposed to a... Switch is actually not... Alright, well... The Strife Rev trigger, if you're using a stock switch, everybody pretty universally feels that it's pretty gross. Oh, explain why it wasn't working, right? Or would it? No, it wouldn't. It's peculiar. Alright, well. So, the reason that it feels gross is because there's this little... Where's my camera shot? This little corner here is really sharp, and so it just kind of goes as it slips over. So what I do is I usually take a knife, or in this case I'm just going to use a file, and just round it over a little bit. And honestly, that's probably all it takes. Just as long as it's pretty uniform. And it feels much nicer. It doesn't have the click, which everybody is like, oh, the click is the best, but I mean, the thing is, you can go to either extreme and it'll feel nice. Either, like, no click, or I don't know, you can go smooth or clicky and it'll feel nice. But the problem is the Strife is, like, somewhere in between, and it does feel, like, squishy and kind of gross. And I totally agree, which is why I modify them. And I also modify them so that they don't have the lock that means if you pull on the main trigger, it catches. And part of the reason for that is actually, I was working on one of Vlad's builds. Actually, Vlad was working on one of Vlad's builds. And it was actually one of the first prototypes that ever got one of my 3D printed flywheel cages in it. Or one of the first blasters that got one of my prototype 3D printed flywheel. Okay, you get the point. And he was convinced that it wasn't working. He was convinced that my cage was fucked. And, made a bit of a stink about it, if I'm totally honest. And I honestly, like, he was so upset by the fact that it wasn't working, it actually kept me up at night. And so I woke up in the morning, and the first thing I did was I walked into his shop, and I checked. And so what was happening was he had installed... Let me kind of spin this around for you. Crap. I mean... That's still not right, but whatever. Okay, so he had installed his micro switch about here-ish. So it's a relatively short throw. So what was happening was, because it had this little peg that gets caught here, when he pulled back his main trigger, it was catching there, and since there was so little throw, it was leaving like a good 5 millimeters of throw here, which actually works out to a lot more here. So it actually wasn't pushing it into the cage at all. Like, it was just kind of going like that and just stopping there. So all I did was pop out the switch, trim off the top, install it back in, and it worked fine. And so since then, I mean, I usually did that anyway, but since then I always make dead sure to take off the little tab on the top that sticks up and catches here. So those are the two modifications that I do to the Strife rev trigger to make it perform a lot nicer. Now the Raven, I have a much tougher time with, admittedly. It's just not as nice. Oh, okay. Sorry, this switch was not doing right, and it's because the tolerances on the shell are a little bit off, so the switch itself is moving. So that will probably help. Usually I do glue these in, but it didn't even occur to me that that would be part of the problem. So usually just a little drop of hot glue, and then if you ever have problems with your switch, you can just replace it, because it's hot glue and it's not gonna, shouldn't cause you trouble. Hot glue is like, you should consider it like it will be there for as long as you need it to be there, and then when you don't, it'll pop out. Yeah, so that's a lot nicer. So I guess if you want a really smooth rev trigger with a stock switch, those would be my 3 modifications. Take off the top of this, round out the actual contactor where it hits the switch, and then glue your switch in. And that's for if you're just leaving double A's in there and you're not modifying it much at all, you're just making it, like, pulling out locks and stuff, I'd recommend you do that. Or if you're using a MOSFET, I'd recommend you do that, because that's a much nicer trigger pull. Oh, that spring is actually making a click noise, which may be satisfactory. I actually noticed on a couple of different brands of switches that the click is not actually... what I did was I put on headphones, or not headphones, earmuffs, so I couldn't hear the click, and then squished it, and I found out that the click on some switches is actually not... you can't feel it. It's only auditory. It's not on all switches, but basically what I'm saying is, in a lot of cases, it's a placebo. Like, the click doesn't even add anything except for an audible noise. This video is sponsored by Audible.com. I wish they were giving me money. Around, drop it in. Wire channel here. You know what? I need to do a video, and it's gonna be like horrible and clickbait, but it's gonna be like why the Raven is awful. And it is. It totally is. And I talked about it in my Patreon, but the Raven is terrible. Like, just objectively. But the thing is, I adore it. Like, I love the crap out of it. I'm not gonna, like, shame anyone for liking it, because I adore it. Like, I really love the Raven shell. but I did some looking at it and some testing on it, and just like some futzing with it, and I realized that like the shell is just designed horribly. Why is it horrible? Just curious. There's a lot of things, truthfully. But one of the biggest things is the screw ports don't align properly. So when you stick it back together, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when you stick like a strife back together, it just kind of, you know, it kind of comes together, and then when it gets to a certain point, it's just a little more resistance, and then it's like slowly slides closed. Whereas with the Raven, the screw ports are not quite perfectly aligned. It's just a little bit off, and then they go click, and then it goes in, and so you have to like go through the entire shell and just kind of wiggle it and squish it together, and then it goes pop, and it sticks in, and pop, and it sticks in. And the other thing is, like, that's the reason it's solvent welded. It's because the shells don't align on the bottom, so instead of putting in another screw port there, they just welded it shut. Which is, it bothers me so much, because I love the shell, I love the way it looks, I love the way it feels, but there's just so much, and like it's missing ribbing in certain places, so if you grab it and squeeze, it'll actually, like, the shell will bow in. It's not good. It's very clearly one of Hasbro's early designs. Which, again, like nobody is more upset about this than I am, because I love the Raven, but it is. It's just kind of bad, which really bothers me, because I really like it. I'm gonna see if I can switch the orders on this so the red is on the bottom, and that'll give a cleaner look when I solder it in. Kitten, I'm not sure what you're trying to imply, but I love Ravens. For real, I adore them. I usually just paint them. I have one Elite Raven, and it was back when it was the most common Raven, so I sanded it for paint. But I can't bring myself to paint it now, so I think I'm going to finish sanding it and then repaint the old paint back onto it. Just because I only have one of them, and it's really beautiful. I really like the blue and the white. I keep thinking I really need to get on Bobo's level and buy some wire to match my blasters. I know Bobo does that on like all of his builds. He matches the wire color to the color of the blaster. Alright. That switched it around perfectly. Okay, not quite perfectly, but close enough to perfectly. Also, I don't know, people keep talking about expanded wire channels for this stuff, and with 18 gauge wire, which hasn't given me a problem yet, I find that it fits, it just bows a little bit. Haven't found the need to, if you get it to lay perfectly flat, it doesn't even bow, but I honestly have not found the need at all to do anything bigger than, or to make a bigger wire channel than that. But if you're using like Neo Hellcats or something, you'll probably need to use bigger wire, and that would make sense. Alright, there we go. That's much better. All you need to do is repaint the white stripe and then clear coat. Yeah, actually, I've currently got a project going. I'm restoring a Stinger, because when I got it, it was just in really, really bad condition, so I'm just, like, fully restoring it. And the only way to get the grime out of the digital camo, unfortunately, was to just sand it all off, which makes it look way better. However, it does kind of make it look like a child's bath toy. So I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is just sand all that off, repaint the little black tick mark things, and then repaint the gunmetal, and then just 2K gloss the entire thing. Oh man, kitten, that sounds horrible. Especially because that would actually even further reduce the weight of streamlines, which were already notoriously far too light. Well, okay, they were notoriously inaccurate, and the reason for that was that they were far too light, to be totally fair. I restored an Alpha Trooper. Like an original Alpha Trooper, or a new one, like a blue one or an orange one. I would really like to get my hands on a blue Alpha Trooper. I only have an orange one right now, and it's just kind of my go-to, like, backup. All of my flywheels have failed. I forgot my batteries at home. I have had nightmares about forgetting my batteries at home, going to an HVZ, and then, like, the moderators being like, oh, well, you're technically in play, even though your batteries are in the car and you have no blasters. So, good luck, you're on your own. I've had nightmares about that scenario. And, like, every time, I always get, like, rushed by, like, a dozen zombies with no way of defending myself, and, like, get tagged out, and I'm like, but, come on. Get a little more of this blaster in shot. But I just left my gun in my bunk because it was 9 AM and had to... Yep. Yep, that sounds horrible. That's like, again, literal nightmares about that sort of thing. Oh, the soldering iron is getting so hot. I need, like, a silicone sheath for it. Maybe I'll just contact Biggs. Get him to mold me one. He may or may not be watching, although I think if he was watching, he probably would have made his presence known. I'm mostly kidding about that. No, don't actually care that much. You know, if things haven't kicked off yet, I won't wear the bandana. Yeah, like, you know, I feel like it's usually, like, poor sportsmanship to, like, take off your bandana to go and do stuff. But honestly, like, if, like, somebody, like, forgot your battery, like, if you were like, hey, can you grab my batteries, and somebody forgot, I feel like it's fair to take off your bandana and be like, well, fuck, guess I gotta go back to the car now. Like, just because, like, I don't know, the game has rules, and, you know, like the play works because the game has rules. Like, you know, if you're, like, already playing and you just run out of ammo, like, you know, you shouldn't just be like, okay, I'm out, but, like, if you're, like, if you actually, like, cannot play because, like, something happened that has prevented you from even starting, I feel like that's fair to be like, fuck it, I'm going to the car. I forgot, like, my pants or something. You know, like you should be allowed to have a fighting chance. You know, or else it's no fun for anyone, right? Like, if you're a horde of zombies and you see a human that literally does not have a blaster or socks or anything, like, that's not fun. Like, taking out that human is not fun. It's just kind of mean. It's not a victory worth celebrating. I don't know, then I think about what happened to Bobo and Jay at End War last year, where they, like, showed up, didn't hear the rules, where it was like, you know... Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Nathan. Yeah, Bobo and Jay showed up, and they, like, didn't get the rules for the car thing, like, you had to be, like, touching a doorknob, or, like, a door handle. And like most HVZs, like parking lots, you know, when you're like in and out of your car, that's like, you're essentially safe, right? Like, cause you're like getting your gear and stuff, and, you know, then it becomes an issue, cause like you get people like, you get zombies that are like, gonna hide under a car or something, and then like the car like drives away and suddenly you have a dead person under your car because you ran them over because they were hot. Like it really makes sense that, you know, parking lots, so like I get why they didn't, like I get why they didn't think that parking lots were in play, and so they just kind of, they did not get a chance to play as human. Kinda sucks. Yeah, I feel like everybody when they play should have a chance to play as who they want to play as, you know, as long as it's, you know, as long as it's not a mistake on their part. You know, like if you're just bad at it and you like walk out in front of a corner and there's a zombie hiding there and you get tagged, then, you know, like that's your own fault, but I don't know, a lot of HVZs have a rule, D-bad, don't be a dick. And it's like, you know, if you, like, see a dude in a parking lot who doesn't know the rules and, like, is just getting there, don't tag him out. Like... Alright. Theoretically, That is all of the soldering for this blaster done. So now I'm just kind of packing the wires away. They had their bandanas on in the parking lot. Yeah, that's kind of... yeah. Indoors is off when it's for indoor. Yeah. Yeah. Parking lots and bathrooms should be off limits. Yeah, I mean, getting literally caught with your pants down is probably not a good... I'm suddenly reminded of that one scene from the first, and in my opinion, I don't know, from the first paintball episode in Community, where they get ambushed in the bathroom. It's well done. It's a good scene. I know I'm gonna have to take out this flywheel cage again later so that I can put the piece of polycarbonate in, but whatever, I want to test this thing out. Let's throw this bitch together. Hey, Steven. Later, add a treat. I really don't know how to pronounce your name. I hope I'm getting that right. Had a battery. Yeah, that's a good idea, Alice. Just lose your batteries. That's smart. Lipos aren't that dangerous, right? Alright. Boom. Hey, Alice, where'd you learn to use Fusion 360? I actually learned to use 123D, and I did it just by kind of bullshitting my way through it. It was a pretty easy to program to learn, but it got discontinued and replaced with Fusion 360, which is just far better. And it's basically the same platform, just slightly... I'm gonna tilt the camera up. Well, now you can see my coffee better. Yeah, if you could have those CPS reports finished by Monday, that'd be great. That's cold now. Yeah, I learned to use 123D, which is a far simpler, but far worse program. And then, the skills were easily transferable, but, in fairness, my friend Noah, who does all the videos for Adafruit, which is probably the best resource for learning Fusion 360, we're friends. And so when I was like, damn, I need to convert to Fusion 360, Noah was like, oh hey, well what, like if you need any help, let me know. And I did need help with a few things. And so I asked him questions, and sometimes he had videos on it, and sometimes he didn't. And if he did have a video, he's just like, oh, I did a whole video that talks about this. Or like, oh yeah, like, it's not in the title, but I talk about it, like, at, like, the 15-minute mark in this video, or something. And so, Noah was really, really awesome when I was learning to use Fusion. But going from 123D over to Fusion was fairly simple. Any pointers for someone trying to learn it? Not really. It is really intuitive. So like, yeah, just kind of, okay, one of the first things I did was I went in and tried out all of the different movement ways, because like movement in 3D modeling is weird, because it basically depends on whether you have a reference plane or not. So it's my friend Tyet, he's a friend from Warframe, basically described it as either like you're like in a fighter jet flying over the Earth, where down is down and up is up, or you are in space, where up is wherever your head is pointing. And so you can try out all of the different settings for how you want that movement to go. And that's what I would recommend, probably. And just go with the one that feels most natural to you. You can find that somewhere in your settings. Somebody asked, what you making? I'm just finishing up this strife here. And it's actually, I need to just reinstall all the components, and then I need to cut out a piece of polycarbonate. I actually had a piece cut out, but then when Spam came to visit, he needed a polycarb window, so I gave it to him. This may admittedly be more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I really don't want to lose this support post, but also I don't know if I can fit it in unless I do. Correction, I don't want to lose more of this support post. I've already taken out a good chunk of it. I might be able to just split ring it on there, maybe. Sorry, nerf Windows better than Microsoft. I feel like I'm trying to understand the joke you're trying to make, and I feel like it's a Apple versus Microsoft joke, but you missed the mark there. I should have put this spring in before I glued this voltmeter in place, but it is in there now, so... Son of a bitch. I'm having a real problem here. So, just to clarify here. Oh. So, I need to put the spring over the screw post here. But the problem is these wires are in the way. This is gonna be a problem. Shit. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Remember earlier when I was talking about how you shouldn't install extra large voltmeters, at least in this particular spot? This is why. Like, this is really not happy with me. Like, there's just not enough room for this to fit. Like, I kind of need to wrap the spring around underneath. I mean, the other option is I could just chop off a bit of it and make it a lot shorter, but I'm not super jazzed with that solution. God damn it, Catherine. Remember when I said I was going to regret making you a moderator? I feel like I might need like 8 hands in order to actually get this done. Alright, let's try a different approach. Nope. That didn't work. This might, though. Yeah, actually, I think that did. I just kind of bullshitted my way through it. It seemed to work. Yeah, I just kind of wedged it in there. It's sturdy, it's just not... what some would consider ideal, but it'll be fine. Oh yeah, I totally accidentally cut off part of this. Wow, I forgot about that. Almost dropped a piece covered in glue. Could have been disastrous. Don't glue your fingers together. I've done it on stream. I think Bobo donated $5 for me to do it. Actually, was not that big a deal. I only accepted it because I wanted to demonstrate that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And you know, not to brag, but I was right. Wasn't that big of a deal. I glue my fingers together all the time. I mean, never on purpose. Okay, one time on purpose, but... Again, it was mostly just to prove that it wasn't as big of a deal as everybody was making it out to be. When you glue your fingers to... Oh, you donated the money, Chris? Okay, well... when you glue your fingers together and you pull it off and you go, oh no, it pulled off my skin. It didn't. That's actually just the remnants of the glue. It happens to just look a lot like skin because it's translucent. And it picks up the color underneath your skin. It can hurt if you like rip it apart quickly, but if you just kind of give it a little bit of a if you try to just go like that, it's gonna hurt, but if you kind of peel apart, you're fine. Oh, god damn it, Catherine. It's supposed to be a relatively PG chat until you show up. Can't believe I made you a moderator. Yeah, I really should make Kitten a moderator. I mean, not that we really need... We don't even need a moderator. I mean, this chat moves slow enough that I can deal with this, but... There you go. I was gonna say have your fun, but actually don't. Just, you know. Chris says, I mean, I'm not that lewd. Well, that's a fucking lie if I've ever heard one. Just fill this area with super glue. Whatever, that's gonna be an extra sturdy tack rail. Which is how I like them anyway, but that's fine. I don't really know why they spring-load tack rails. Like, there's enough give in the plastic that they can just make it... Gosh darn it, Catherine. I have some regrets. Making Catherine a moderator is definitely like 4 of them. Yeah, remember when I was talking about strife shells just kind of fitting together? Especially if you throw a little paint on them, they just like friction fit together. Like, that's no screws, that's not really going anywhere. I mean, obviously I'm going to screw it in place before I, you know, hand it off to the client, but... Hey, Jack Taylor. God damn it. I always forget to turn off Facebook. Who messaged me? Oh, apparently my friend Michael Morrison is watching. Also, Michael Taylor as well, but... I'm just gonna double check that that glue didn't run, because that could cause me a problem. Hi, yes, hello. What? Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you'd already gone. That's fair. I'm not mad about it, you're going to the store, you know, but... This clear coat, okay, it's real lacquer. It's a 1K lacquer, it's not a 2K lacquer, but this clear coat just, it smells so good, and I'm probably getting more brain damage, but I don't even care, it's worth it. I just love the smell of this clear coat. Alright. Hey Milo, is there any chance I could get you to grab a magazine and throw some darts in it? Alright, fine, I'll do it. Alright. So, it needs its door. Let me grab a battery that'll fit in this properly. I had one laying around here, and I just don't know what happened to it. This is the first LiPo I ever purchased, and Drac Owl duct taped it into the side of my Strife, which actually turned out later to be Proto Strife. It wasn't at the time, but I took that Strife. You must remember this. Sitting at 12.4 volts. Drop that battery in. It has gone a little bit puffy. It's not dangerously puffy, but I have to tell you, like, I really sometimes have to resist the urge to just, like, because it's puffed a little bit, and that's fairly, like, you're not gonna have huge problems if it's just a little puffy. I mean, officially, don't ever recharge a battery that's gone puffy. But this is just, like, just enough that you can squish it. But it always feels like there's just air in it, and I just want to, like, pop it and deflate it with a pin. But that would cause a huge fiery explosion. But... damn. That's awesome. These are fangs. Like, the original fangs. I like original fangs a lot. Alright, let's grab some dorts. Let's throw some dorts in there. Black and red mag. So that I can perfectly match the colors on this blue stripe. Kitten, if you want to come visit, I have a shitload of fangs that I'm trying to get rid of at this point. Well, not trying to get rid of, but... I'm considering having less fangs. Alright, let's throw some of these AccuFakes in here. I'm just gonna go grab a pack of them. I have a lot of AccuFakes. Lytake sent me some AccuFakes for review, and I was kind of like, I could take these out of the package and just instantly review them just by playing with them, or I could actually take them to a game and see how they fare. So that's what I'm doing. I think that's a more fair, review. Yeah, I don't know, I've noticed that some of the fangs I have sound a little bit... They need to be worn in, I guess. Some of them don't sound super awesome. This is a 12-round mag.
Yep, it's made with bits of real pan.
Yeah, it's a 12 round mag, but for some reason I could easily fit like 13, maybe even 14 in here. Although 13 would actually be kind of funny, given that I did this mag up all vampire-y. I am never gonna do up. I'm never ever going to do up another shell without a 180 cover on it. Because the worst case scenario, if you put a 180 cover on it, is you have a 180 cover on it. I mean, it's a little larger, but like, you know, if 6 months down the road a motor comes out that you say, oh man, that's real cool, I wish I could put that in this build that I worked so hard on, but I can't without screwing up my paint job. You know, even if I put Fangs Revamped in something, I'm still gonna put a 180 cover on it. Oh my good god, guys, that was awesome. This thing is sick. I love it. Yeah, Jomo, I don't know if you're still watching, but goddamn. This is a 42.5mm Malice cage. It's the first one that's actually been installed and functional, and holy shit, that is awesome. I actually think I might be getting a little more FPS than an open flywheel cage, because it's stronger. Like, I mean, I don't have results to, like, I don't have numbers to back that up. That's just eyeballing it. But I'll get numbers, because that was awesome. This thing is hitting like a tank. I have a curtain there that, like, protects my walls, to be totally honest with you. Because a lot of these blasters, I always feel like if I shoot my walls, I'm gonna dent the goddamn, the goddamn drywall. Yeah, see, there's the rub. This is why I wanted to test it. That dart lost its head from literally just shooting that volley there. Yeah, I fired 12, and I think at least one or two of them lost their heads. So, yeah, I'm not super sold on this whole AccuFake thing. I really like the design of the heads, but I'm not sold on the, well, frankly, on the rest of it. Like the heads are nice and really, really well designed, but the problem is they're using hard glue to stick soft foam and soft rubber together. And it's like, that's just bound to break, and they're not using enough as is, so it's a whole bunch of crap that can go wrong. The feeding on this cage is awesome. Like I can fire as fast as I can pull the trigger, and with a lot of flywheel cages you can't do that. And you don't really notice it. It's just that it hangs a little when you physically pull the trigger. Like it kind of hangs a little bit. But this has a really, really, not to toot my own horn, but a really well designed feed guide. So it pretty much guarantees it goes in. Holy shit, the shell's actually been cut to open air cool the flywheels. No, this is, I'm gonna put a polycarbonate window in here. Yeah, my cage does try to work in a little bit of active cooling to cool the motors. Pretty much all of them have it, but I've tried to optimize mine for it a little bit. But let's just, Yeah. You like that? How do you like them apples? I like this flywheel cage, it's awesome. Alright. Should I, like, cut the polycarb, drop it in, glue it in? You know what? Hot glue gun's already hot. I might as well do it. I haven't found a good way to glue in polycarbonate windows yet. Yeah, I haven't found a good way to glue in polycarbonate windows at the moment, just because they're, if you use super glue, they fog. So, I mean, the best way to do it is probably epoxy, but I hate using epoxy, so I've just been hot gluing it. And then if I ever scratch up the window, I can just pop it out. Alright. So I got the battery out. Let's open this bitch up. I'm really happy with how that's performing. Alright, so we got this open. I'm gonna go grab a sheet of polycarbonate and then my cutting template, and then we'll run that through the bandsaw, which means I'm gonna go off camera for a minute, but... Alright, here's my cutting template. Where is my polycarbonate? There it is. So, I cut out a couple of windows for Biggs to cast. And I made them, like, dead perfect. But in reality, if you guys get your hands on one of these covers, it's actually designed so that you don't have to cut the polycarbonate perfectly. Like, you can just kind of half-ass it and it'll still work fine. But if you get one resin cast from Biggs, it should be already awesome. So you won't have to worry about it. But if you decide to cut your own polycarbonate, yeah, you can be a little sloppy, it doesn't matter. I just kind of roughed it out with my template. I did shoot it, and it is kind of a goddamn monster. You are correct, Michael Taylor. Alright, I'm gonna go cut this out on the bandsaw. I'll be back in a minute. Shouldn't take too long. Depends on how much of a perfectionist I want to be. And if I can find my goddamn Gear Pro. What's up with that? Oh, it's over here. Alright. Hopefully y'all's ears are not bleeding. Alright, so here we got our polycarbonate window. Just pop off the come on. I know I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. If you use power tools, you know, be that a bandsaw or even a Dremel, get hearing protection. Honestly, like, not only is it going to save your ears, it's just more comfortable, like, than having your ears bleed for like 5 minutes after you do a big job. You know, you can do an entire job without your ears getting uncomfortable and borderline painful. I have a knife around here somewhere, and I don't know what I did with it. Here it is. Regulator or Strife? Strife any day. Regulators are awful. Don't get a regulator, especially if you're gonna mod it. I guess if you're not modding it, maybe a regulator, but with a Strife, if you change your mind later, you can mod it. The regulator is awful. I'm gonna say that again. The regulator is awful. The select fire is terrible. Without a complete overhaul of the system. It's slow. The 3-round burst. I mean, you could do a better 3-round burst just by pulling the trigger on the Strife faster. Like, not even kidding you. And I say this as somebody who is currently in the process of building a regulator. Don't do a regulator. Alright. This is such a sneaky bump. Like, every time I hear this song, it's like, for some reason, the term sneaky bump comes to my mind. Like, every time. Are we back on the devil's lettuce again? Goddamn, you sinners, or something. Is just everyone in chat hitting on me at this point? Like, all of the girls. I don't use pot, but as an EMT, I'd rather people smoke pot than other things. Yeah, I mean, it's better than, yeah, we were talking about this earlier. It's better than most things. Including alcohol, I believe. Now, I mean, I say that, and I'm no scientician, but we happen to be in the presence of somebody who actually does know what they're talking about, so... Pot is pretty much harmless compared to alcohol or cigarettes. Okay, that is exactly what I thought, and so I'm glad that Kitten is confirming that. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of things that are better for your body than smoking a whole bunch of weed. Like, a lot of things. You know, like eating your veggies and such, but ultimately it's not that big a deal. Coming from somebody who doesn't really smoke pot. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it ain't healthy, but neither is, Oxycontin. Yeah. I mean... Yeah, people do a lot less healthy things that are legal. For some reason, pot is not. Which we covered earlier. Which I'm sure if I got Kitten started, she would back my ass up on that. But it's basically just a way to legalize racism. It's outlawing. Well, it was a way to legalize racism. I guess it still kind of is, because, like, you know. The first time somebody offered me pot, it was actually, I found out that the dealer was actually a cop. And it wasn't, like, a setup. Like, he was upfront about being a cop and was just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna sell some weed to minors. That was fun and exciting. Alright, now let's just hot glue this bitch in. Damn it. How did I do this before? I've done this like 10 times before. How can I not actually get the hot glue gun in now? What is different? Nope, that's wrong. Oh god, it's hot glue on my finger. Alright, what we're gonna do, I guess, is we're just gonna put a little hot glue on the edges. Fucker. Watch me fail to install my own product. That's what this stream should be called. Wow, I really screwed the pooch on this one. It's fine, it's fixable. Is antidote the correct word, kitten? Like, I'm kind of confused. Alright, let's see if I can... That did not go well. We're gonna pop this out and try again. Yep. Hold on, I'm gonna text Milo and ask him to grab some rubbing alcohol. Or maybe I will call him. That would probably be more apt solution. Hi, do you happen to be at the store, or... Oh, okay. Cause I realize we need rubbing alcohol. Okay, did you go to the shoppers, or all the way to the... Crap. Is there any way you could pick it up somehow? Okay, I just, am having an issue here. Oh, okay, well, that'll be fine. Thank you. Alright, bye. Everyone says hi. Yeah, sorry, at that point it was too late. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking like I'm either gonna have to really, really clean this or cut a new one. Alright. Apparently... Yeah, Milo does not like appearing on camera. I'm gonna get the rubbing alcohol and the paper towel and see if I can clean this up. Rubbing alcohol does a great job, isopropyl alcohol, of cleaning up hot glue. Yeah, there's only a teeny tiny bit left. It should probably be fresh. Usually I need paper towel. Admittedly cannot find, which is in fact cause for alarm. Whatever, I'll use Kleenex. It's not as good, but it'll do the trick. Excuse me. Alright. We're gonna get this window installed tonight. Get this entire blaster finished off. And I can finish up the video on it. It'll be all good.
Skip the conversation, I don't care for it. Don't like my music, then what you here for? Stay up in the sky like I'm in the Air Force. She don't like the height, so she stay on all four. You can call her back, she don't want you anymore. I don't play around.
Yeah, this is cleaning up pretty well.
Tell her see you soon, so I gotta cut short. Still strong.
Yeah, this window did not go in the way I wanted it to.
You know you couldn't force it. Don't talk about it if you can't afford it. Stay up the whole night, don't sleep till the morning. Call up my mama, tell her that I'm good. Do what you want, you do more than you should. Stick to your roots and they'll give you a look. Don't get caught in your head, you forget what you could. I get too high, I don't wanna feel low. I do what I do, so you do your own. Only stay up if I know. I get too high, I don't wanna feel low. I do what I do, so you do your own. Only stay up if I know, yeah. Step on their raps if they act slow. Watch them hit the dome with a mad flow. Too tough, a little too much. $2 if they shoot stuff. So what you do, bruh? Probably try to count some. You can't doubt love. Get another lap, running to the roundup. You can keep doubting, but you never gonna see it for real. You don't really feel now. I wouldn't even need a second meal up. Do what you do until the day
Good jam.
kill ya. You don't need
I like this.
the feeling so familiar. step into the building, you feel me? Fly like Jess, to put it simply. Only spit tracks, the facts that won't fulfill me. Taking that a shot, looking up at the ceiling like really, you don't see what I'm dealing. Cold like the winter, she a go-getter. I can see through ya. Baby mama gotta go figure. Gonna miss it when I go missing. We can try for another round. Only gonna need another minute. Good feelings if I wake up. It don't take much if you hate.
We need more, like, I don't know that traditional is the right word, but yeah, traditional, like, women in hip hop. No, not traditional women. We need more women in traditional hip hop like this. Elite Demolisher or Tri-Strike missile launcher stock. I'd go with neither, to be honest. Don't we have like an actual decent missile launcher now? I've got like a Demolisher rocket pistol. This actually uses the Demolisher rocket launcher. And I like that very much. So if you're looking for something to do that with, that's what I'd recommend. And you can put that on a barricade or an old recon or something. Just whatever you have that's got a decent handle and would look nice. Then of course there's like drain blasters and stuff, which never really appealed to me that much, but now, the thing I really like about the one I made, which is basically, it's just a Demolisher rocket launcher moved onto its own separate platform instead of being attached to a stripe. The thing I always liked about that is that it's just like, you can rapidly reload and fire. Oh yes, I posted something on Instagram with LEDs in it. I think it was the Hera that I've been working on. And somebody commented like, but why would you put LEDs in it? Like, not to sound cliche, but like, why the fuck not? Because it's cool. Like, what the hell kind of question is that? Like, why would you even ask that? Just because. I don't know. That person follows me on Instagram, but they seem to comment, like, negative things on everything I post. Or not negative, but, like, skeptical and kind of condescending stuff on everything I post. I don't know. It's Instagram. It might be a language barrier or something, but, you know, the person is probably not being malicious about it. It just comes off as just incredibly douchey is the word I'm going for. What the hell was that? No idea what that was. I sure hope it didn't blast y'all's eardrums off. But I have no idea what just happened. Got a random blast of noise for no apparent reason. thumbs. My keyboard's over there. Like way over there. Not to take credit or anything, hi, but it may have been me commenting on how whenever you say hi, it's just a large amount of the word hi. Oh, is this peeling up the paint? Yep, it definitely is. Okay, well, guess I'm just gonna have to reapply that, but it's fine, I guess. It's fine. It's an internal component. It's not about to rub off, so that's something I can easily cover up with a paint pen or something. Oh, God. That was horrible. Wow, this is going horribly, in all honesty. Alright. Once again, this is an internal component, so it's not going to be susceptible to any sort of wear. Realistically, in order to repaint that, I'd have to basically repaint the entire blaster, which is not an option this late in the game. So I will be back in a second. I'm gonna go touch this up. I can still see chat, I've just moved over to my computer. Alright, that's not ideal. But, oh yeah, no, that's turning out alright. Just taking a bit of a paint pen to it, and it's not a perfect color match, but I'm pretty sure you have to know it's there in order to see it, so that's fine. Let's just not do that again. Can you put hot glue in from the outside and then the window? Not really. Not well. Alright, that worked a lot better. I just got the angle right. And it did fine. What about my gallon of PCP, kitten? Hey, what you got there, Trevor? Oh, it's just my gallon of PCP. Oh man, Trevor, I didn't even know they had that in gallon form. I think there was a point in my life where I could do basically that entire skit just from the top of my head. Pretty much bullshit it. MDMA is also known as a potential killer when abused. Huh. I did not know that. Here I was thinking MDMA was fairly tame. I mean, obviously, you know, anything you put in your body without talking to your doctor is probably a mistake, but... Okay, well, I mean, food, probably, but... Any drug you put in your body without talking to your doctor first is probably a mistake. You know what I mean. But of the ones, I kind of assumed that was a little harmless. Fairly harmless, anyway. Mostly harmless. I would recommend epoxying this in, just for future reference, because I'm having a bitch of a time hot gluing this. This one sets a little deeper in there. Yeah, I mean, you can consume tiny amounts of basically anything and be fine, just as long as the dosage is small enough. I mean, like, yeah, I think Cody's Lab did a video where he, like, ate cyanide or something, but it was just such a tiny amount of it that it didn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, Kitten's on top of that. A wealth of knowledge, that one. Alright. Let's just clean up the inside a little bit. Get my smudgy, pudgy fingerprints off of there. On an entirely unrelated note, you know it was a fantastic movie? Chicken Run. That was amazing.
God, how do they walk away in movies without flinching when it explodes behind them? There's no way! I call bullshit on that! I need an MRI! I've got soft tissue damage! There's no way I don't have soft tissue damage!
Pretty sure DJ Quad sampled Anchorman. I'm pretty sure that's what I was just hearing. Alright, that window is installed. Now let's drop in our barrel attachment, and then flywheel cage. Organize our wires accordingly.
Miniature Buddha. Covered in hair. Come again? You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please. Huh? You pooped in the refrigerator.
Alright, now grab our wire channel. I feel like somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of a drug that doesn't actually have any direct negative side effects, but it, like, causes you to be violent, which could cause, obviously, you know, if you are violent, you can fuck yourself up pretty bad. But the drug itself does not actually cause a whole lot of physical harm. So, like, basically, like, you could take it if you were, like, fully restrained, and you would have no real side effects. Or not terrible side effects. Or at least the most threatening part of the fact is that it causes violent reactions. But I'll just wait for Kitten to... We're in the realm of I don't know, so I'm just kind of spitballing off of something that I feel like is in the back of my mind and waiting for Kitten Claus to tell me if I'm right or not. It's really interesting. Science is fascinating to me. I feel like there's some obligatory... yeah. I feel like I have to say something along the lines of, like, I don't condone any drug use unless it is, you know, off the shelf or prescribed by your doctor. But that being said, I know there's some issues with, you know, having shit prescribed by your doctor that is like, you know, secret, by the way, the company has paid me money to prescribe you this even though it could cause you serious health effects. Because America. Alright, I'm just gonna dump out all of these screws and bits and pieces and... Oh no, I dropped a screw. And then we're just gonna sort them out on the table. Should be 2 short screws. Oh wow, my face is like, you're just like right in my nose. There should be another, oh, is this it? Yeah, so you got 2 short screws in a stripe. And they go in the tack rail. And everything else you can just kind of throw back. There's 4 long screws that go into the flywheel cage, but if you put a long screw in the shell and a medium screw in the flywheel cage, it's not really going to cause you any trouble. So I sort them out. Like I sort out the 4 flywheel cage screws, but other people don't. And God damn it, why are you all so deeply perverse? Kitten, you're so smart. Alright, let's just double check everything is still working here. Now we've got our window in here. The whole, like, oh, you have to actively cool your motors thing, not really relevant. The only thing you would really have to actively cool is if it's getting hot. I would recommend, if you have a cage that's made out of something with a fairly low melting temperature, I would honestly, that's the reason I have active cooling in my cage. It's actually to cool the cage, because I print mine out of PLA. I mean, the ones that are being sold are going to be resin cast, but when I print mine out of PLA, if the motors overheat, then you warp the cage. So that's why I work on active cooling, and so it's actually more focused on actively cooling the flywheel cage than the actual motors themselves. You know, not that I'm, like, suggesting anyone try this or something, but I'm actually told that when people make moonshine, and you distill it, you can actually get rid of a lot of the... There's ethanol, and then there's something, another kind of... You can get rid of the nasty stuff because it actually evaporates first. So if you basically just throw out the first, like, if you're making, like, a gallon or something, you throw out the first, like, 3 shot glasses, which are going to be basically pure... Forget. Ethanol? Something? Kitten would know. And that actually gets rid of most of it and gets it down to relatively safe levels. Or so I've been told. Because it evaporates first. You have to dump the first and last parts of brew. You have to. Yeah, and I've heard of people distilling... I'm pretty sure this is highly illegal, but, I mean, it's not illegal to say that people do this. I've heard of people basically, like, distilling vodka further. And the way that they do that is, well, you basically evaporate it and then, you evaporate it and then you throw out the first couple shot glasses. There's a Big Clive video on it. Big Clive is, he's an entertainer, but he's a very smart entertainer. And also his voice is great. Beer is yeast pee. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Oh, my eyeballs hurt. I don't like having the overhead lights on. It hurts my eyes. There we go. This is the first blaster with a malice cage in it. It's all wired up and ready to go. I might. Well, I'm definitely gonna swap one out in Proto Strife, but I don't actually care like enough to actually like go out and research that crap or anything. It's interesting what I do know. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, Kitten. That's a very smart thing for you to do. Alright. Let's load up a mag and then dump it, because that sounds fun to me. Wow, a lot of these darts actually just went straight through the curtain. Alright, so I have overfilled this 12-round magazine by 2 darts. So it is a 14-round magazine now. And most flywheel cages can't handle that. But I think mine's gonna do fine. Watch me be totally wrong. Boom! I was totally right. Nailed it. How is that? So, yeah, that magazine was overfilled by 2 darts. And not only did they not pop out the top, it cleared them fine. Like, there was no issue there. So, not to toot my own horn, but this cage is looking awesome. I love it. Alright, well, I don't know what to do for the rest of this stream. I mean, I was gonna only do 2 hours. Oh crap, it is 10:30 and I should eat dinner. This thing is awesome. I love it. This makes me really happy. I don't know, Jomo sometimes watches the backlog, and he might be watching anyway, but I hope you love this thing, because to be honest, I love it. And you know what they say, like, you shouldn't let a commission go unless it pains you to do so. Like it's not good enough unless you're sad to see it leave. And I am gonna be sad to see this thing go. It is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I just dumped a 12 round in like a quarter second, so... Boom. There's a Strife. Knocked out all the wiring in like 2 hours or something. Not bad. I am going to test the accuracy of this thing and see where it's at, which means I should put a stock on it. And I'm going to put the battery back in. Alright, we got that back in. I'm gonna grab some fresh darts for this, and then I'm gonna do an accuracy test, just to see. Actually, I'm gonna use an 18 round, because why not? But yeah, I haven't really talked about this because it's a problem and I've known how to fix it. I just haven't gotten around to it. Gavin, actually, the reason I haven't been using it in games is because I was having issues with darts popping at the top of the mag well. And that was partly to do with my magazines. Like, a couple of my magazines, the feed lips are actually, like, separated, so they kind of just pop out the top. But, you know, that wasn't entirely the cause. It was partially the cage as well. And that's part of the reason why I put the feed guide on this one, and I'm glad I did. Yeah. So now, once I print a Raven Malice cage, which may or may not be the next live stream, well, I'll definitely live stream doing it, but I guess the question is when. Actually, it's funny, I'm talking about Gavin, and the song that's currently playing is the one I used for the Gavin video. But yeah, once I install that, I will feel comfortable trusting Gavin with my HVZ life. Now this magazine, actually... Interesting. This magazine only wants to fit 18 exactly. Like, it just... It's like solid. Like, the foam is squishing before it's actually compressing. That's interesting. I think there's something up with this magazine, because it's a really tight fit in there as well. Okay, I'm gonna go throw a stock on this, and unfortunately I can't take you with me to do accuracy checking, but... And even if I could, the frame rate's not good enough for you to see where they land, but... I'm gonna throw a stock on here just because I can't aim for shit without a stock. Ow. That hurt. Let's see what this accuracy's like. Alright, so that was 18 shots, aiming at about an 8-inch square. And obviously some of the misses can be accounted for me not having perfect aim. But, I think I missed twice. An 8-inch square at about 35 feet-ish. So, accuracy is pretty good. I was wondering if you got the stocks I just sent you. Yes, I was actually about to message you. I got these yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, these things are awesome. Yeah, so, For the Love of Nerf made these dyed Raider stocks for me. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna get the box, because he did not just send me one. He messaged me and said he had 2 stocks to send me. One of them for Doku, which is this one. Oh, I'm not gonna show your address on stream. I apologize for that. yeah, one of them for Doku, and so it's translucent. I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but yeah, like if I throw this on, you can't quite see, but you can see the glow. And so he said he was gonna send me this one, and this red one. And I've got a project coming up that's totally gonna use this stock because it's super cool. But what I didn't know is that if you remember, I was bitching a while back because the Crimson Raider stock, or the Crimson Recon stock I have, is just, it's flimsy and awful. And so he sent me the Raider, or not the Raider, well, yeah, the Raider version of the Super Soaker stock, which is, like, almost exactly a color match for the Crimson Recon. So, like, holy crap, and this is, like, super hard to find. I actually found the blaster that this went with at the soaker that this went with at a thrift store, but I didn't find this, and I was so mad. But not only did he send me that, he also sent me this, and I had no idea. And so this is one of the rarest Raider stocks, and so it's yellow. It actually came with a special edition Barricade. And these are, like, super rare. So holy shit, thank you, dude. That was awesome. Okay, so you used translucent for polycarbonate. My question, though, is how the hell did you get the inside of these? Like I just don't get it. Like, I have no idea how you did that. Because it doesn't really separate, and it does look like the paint is on the inside. In fact, I think I can feel it on the inside. And this makes sense, because you could just butterfly it and then translucent, but... Damn, dude, this is awesome. Actually, you know what? Please message me and tell me exactly the colors of paint you used for these, because I just had a brilliant idea. Because, truth be told, this is it's not color matched for Doku, but I still love it, and so it feels like it needs its own project. So please let me know exactly the kind of paint you used, like the color, like PM me, and I will make a specific blaster for this stock, and I have one right in mind. So, yes, thank you so much. I'm gonna make something specifically for this. But yes, thank you so much for the love of Nerf. That was awesome. I love them, like, a whole lot. They are perfect. I'm sorry, this isn't getting old, so I'm just gonna fire a couple more darts through. Actually, I'll grab my chrono. Fire a couple darts through my chrono. After I glued it back together. I keep shooting this thing apart. That's the only problem with it. Is, like, I keep blasting it into pieces. Because I miss. Okay, so let me clear the first number there. So let's see what this is shooting. And neither of those red, just to spite me. However, one did bounce off the wall and come flying back at me, so... Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would definitely redesign this chrono, but you live and you learn, I guess. I'll probably build another one at some point. Kind of hard to get readings through it. Okay, so that's the first shot that read. It was 117. Which seems a little low to me, but I'm sure I mean, my chrono isn't stupidly reliable. It misreads fairly regularly, so... You know, and sample data of 1, so... Ha! That's more like it. Suck it. There we go. Okay, sampled of 2, but that got me excited. Okay, clearly my chrono needs work. But that was awesome. Yeah, we'll do a real chrono test for the video, but I definitely got a reading of like 150 off of that. So like, not even mad. What's my phone doing? God damn it. Can't find those darts. Alright, I'm gonna throw a couple more darts in this, and then do another chronoing. Maybe I can get some actual good results this time. Yeah, I can tell just by the amount of like bounce back from when I was firing them down my hallway that they were doing more than 100, so I'm guessing that chrono reading was way the fuck off. Alright. I need to redo the code on my chronograph, because I got a high of 250 FPS off of that, and that is clearly not the case. But it looks like it was averaging around 135-ish, 140. Again, not super reliable chrono data. I would really like to get somebody else to test this before I, you know, go and start making claims about this, but... high of 245 FPS. That was definitely a misread, before anybody goes nuts. Definitely a misread. But yeah. Yeah, there were a couple that were around 145, which seems within the realm of plausibility. The amount of shots that this chronograph is actually picking up is just too damn small. That's just ridiculous. We'll get some real testing done. What? I like when we see the darts bounce back. Yep. That's pretty satisfying. I got a dart stuck in there. That was my bad. I just like stuck my finger in. Now the only thing about the feed guide is you can't top load, but Honestly, I never find myself top-loading in a game anyway. And when I do, I just find it slows me down. Like, it's easier to just pop it out, drop a dart in. Yeah. This thing is awesome. I really like it. I'm gonna be sad to see it go. There's already foam buildup on the inside of the cover. Such is life. Yeah, there's already purple foam buildup inside the... Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. The wheels don't have foam on them, so I think that will build up a little nicer. But yeah, that's, let's say a reliable and repeatable high of about 145, like, ish. I don't know if that'd be the average. I'd probably say around 140. But again, like, super unreliable chronograph at the moment. I'm not sure if the batteries are just low or what, but yeah, that was just not happening. So, yeah, could be totally wrong. No high of 250. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, high of 250, definitely. Yeah, this thing's got issues. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not, like I fired through and it was like 5 FPS. I'm like, that's definitely not right. But, yeah. I don't know, time will tell, we'll test it. With different wheels and different stuff. And maybe I'll one day be able to actually afford a real chronograph, so I can do real chrono data. But today is not that day, so... Yeah, I mean, I pretty much use this thing as, like, ballpark. Yeah, I use this thing as ballpark chrono measurements. Like, it's not gonna be dead on. But it'll be at least a little close, like, usually, sometimes. I swear to God, I fired more darts over there, but they're just gone now, so... What I'm hearing is you need a crony. Yeah, I do. Okay, well... That one definitely contact, like, that was a bounce shot at 104. Yeah. The first digit is off the screen. Yeah, that's not quite how that works. Yeah, I think I've said this from the beginning, but, yeah, this chronograph was a fun project to give me an idea of where it's sitting, not something that you should get reliable chrono data from. So I'd really like to get these cages off to people who do, like, good impartial testing, because I don't want to make claims on something. Just because I feel like, you know, making unsubstantiated claims about flywheel cages just leads to issues. Not pointing any fingers. Oh, kitten. But actually, I don't know if I've shown the internals. But it's not a difficult wiring setup. This is actually the first Arduino I ever bought. It sat in a box unused for years. And I finally was like, fuck it, I'm using it. And I just threw it in the project. So it's like one of the first Arduino Unos out there. I also happen to have the like 60-something, 65th Arduino ever manufactured in the United States. Just by a weird coincidence. I think it might be signed. I think it's signed by Lady Ada, actually. Not certain on that one, though. It's somewhere around here. Yeah, my hand is moving at about 4 feet per second, 5 feet per second. Yep, this one's actually Italian. This one's an original, actually made in Italy. But... Kitten, that's, a generous offer. Yep, okay, alright. Yeah, I really wouldn't mind a real chronograph. Look at this. You can't really see the metallic on camera, but it looks pretty alright. Look at that. How fast can Alice spit? We're not finding that out. That's not happening. Actually, that might happen off camera, but you're never gonna find out about it. Girls don't spit. Yep. It's not my most beautiful strife. Not by a long shot, but I do like it, so. Is it just me, or is the orange different on the jam door? Yeah, all jam doors are a little different color. Like, they're not the same color as the rest of it, because the plastic is different. It's a little rubberier, because it's actually designed to bend and flex out of the way every time you want to use it. Whereas the rest... Excuse me, the rest of the stuff is just solid ABS, so it's not a big deal. But the rubberierness ends up coming through as being a little lighter in color. But the, it actually looks a lot... Like, this looks way lighter on camera than it does IRL. Like, these look very similar in real life, and it looks way different in camera. Oh god, such an overpriced piece of shit the Battle Scout was. It was $300 when it came out here. They ended up selling it for like $30 or something because they couldn't get rid of them. The Gaven is the most beautiful strife. It's not a strife, but okay. I'm happy with this. I think I'm gonna end the stream because I'm really hungry. I have not actually eaten anything today, so... What is your most beautiful strife? I have two that I think, I mean, the Gaven, Doku, I didn't do anything special bodywork-wise on, but I think a lot of people would probably consider it just the most beautiful. But, you can't see it. You can definitely see the gloss on the 2K. So it's got 2K matte on the grips, and like all of the black is black. It's a real proper black enamel. Like it's an automotive enamel rather than just like something you get at the hardware store that says it's enamel on it and probably isn't actually. And then it's got 2K over that. It's a matte 2K, and the entire blaster was done in matte black with 2K. And then, this is actually a custom green metallic, and I really don't know if you're going to be able to pick up on it, but it's actually incredibly pearlescent as well as being metallic. You can kind of see it right around here, how it kind of goes like, it color shifts a little depending on how the light, like it goes a little bit opalescent, and you can kind of see the individual sparklies. And so yeah, this was a custom-made paint specifically for this blaster. And then gunmetal stripe with... I just smashed myself in the face with the stock. Yeah, it's a gunmetal stripe with hand-painted detailing. And then signature down there, which is where I like to put it on stripes. and then an entire can of gloss 2K on it, on just the glossy parts, and then resin cast parts, and the entire thing is LED lit. Oh yeah, well, custom battery door as well. And the motor cover is custom, but I don't like it as much as my new one. Not at all. But let's throw a battery in here. Yeah, the stripe is gunmetal. So that's essentially a metallic gray is really what gunmetal is. It's got a little bit of blue in it, kind of. But then there's a little switch right there. Oh, wrong spot. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my hands on camera. And then the entire thing lights up.
Winds southerly at about 15 with gusts of 25 miles an hour. Barometric pressure 30.0.
So this is probably what most people would consider my most beautiful strife. I would have a real hard time disagreeing with them, but I didn't do anything like revolutionary with this. It's got a coat duck cage, which predates the Malice cage. This was my old flywheel cage. I did, however, mask off and then paint the motor cans, and you can actually see there's hand detailing on those as well. And people were like, "Oh, it's gonna like catch fire and stuff," and it's never happened. The motors don't even get warm, to be honest. Yeah, I still haven't put the window in here. It needs a window and a new pusher arm. But other than that, it's all done and I think pretty gorgeous. I'm really sad that you guys can't see the metallic. I have frightened myself. I'm really sad that you guys can't see the metallic on this. I'll see if I can futz with my, I'll see if I can futz with my settings and get you guys to be able to see it, but... paint's chipping a little. It's fine. I'll redo it at some point. Just on the stock there. Wonder if I can do it by turning down the gain, maybe? Sorry, it's just really hard to catch this, like, the pearlescent. It's really obvious in real life, but it's not coming through on camera. Oh yeah, kind of get it right there. Yeah, you can see that. You can see the metallic. You can't so much see the pearl. But it actually, in sunlight, it color changes depending on how you look at it. It's like opal, so it's got a little bit of a, yeah. But yeah, kind of see it. Like, it's really obvious for me on the top here, but you can't see it on camera. God damn it. Whatever. But yeah, God damn it. I'm gonna go eat in a second, but the one that I've done the most work on, and I guess the one that I'm most proud of, it doesn't have a paint job really. It's basically like I did a base coat and then some color, or well, just some white on top of it, but I actually, I nicked the paint on it, and I realized that it looked really good with the nicked paint, so I actually did some sanding on it, but this is Proto Strife. So, this is, my main HVZ primary, and this is actually the first Strife that I ever, like, modded well, that's not true. It's the first Strife that I ever ran in a real game. And then I just, like, started upgrading it and upgrading it. And so, like, yeah, you can see the paint is, like, it started to get scuffed off, and I thought it looked cool, so I sanded a little bit more. And now that's just really, like, basically it's just giving myself a reason to repaint it. Because, like, the paint's chipping off here, and I didn't clear coat it at all. But it was always a temporary paint job, so whatever. But I think the bodywork on this is probably some of the nicest. I wish I had put something here. Yes, by the way, just for context, for those of you that are screaming and crying, this is fully 3D printed. So, this is all stuff that I designed and printed off. And that's why there's no ribs on the back. I didn't like them on the original crossbow. So I just didn't put them in. And it's so comfortable. It, like, fits my cheek. Like, right in here. And then I've got a voltmeter right there. Mine aren't a scan either. I just did a really, really detailed job of 3D modeling it from scratch. So. Yeah, I'm gonna do more work on this, but like this is all 3D printed. This gap fill is specifically designed for this blaster. Same on the other side. This area here is just too large of an open space to just be sitting there flat. I'm not happy with it. So I'm probably just gonna, like, take the entire thing apart and wet sand the entire thing down to bare plastic, and then just start over on the paint at some point. Yeah, there's only a tiny amount of putty on this. And that's, there's a really organic curve here. And so that is like the teeniest, tiniest amount of epoxy putty you could possibly imagine. Just right here. And that's the only epoxy putty on the entire blaster. The rest is all 3D printed parts and sanding and gluing. But yeah, so up to you, really, which one you think is more beautiful. They've both kind of seen a little bit of battle damage at this point, but yeah, up to you guys. Those are my two Strifes. I'm probably not gonna make another Strife, not for a while. Not a personal one. I have another Strife in the works, but it's not. It's just a Strife because I wanted to make a Strife. I'll probably never use it, is what I'm saying. It's probably just gonna be a loner. For club games and stuff. Okay, now I'm gonna go eat. Proto Strife because I assume that's supposed to say memories. Dual wield them. Yep. It's funny. Alright. Well, I am hungry as hell, and I finished a Strife today, so I'm gonna go eat. Go eat and sleep, for God's sake. I went to bed at 10 p.m. yesterday, and then woke up at 2, so I got 4 hours of sleep. And then could not get back to sleep for like 6 or... actually, I think it was 8 hours. And I just laid in bed for 8 hours. Like, oh my god, it was awful. And then I, like, finally fell asleep again and woke up at, like, 4. It was awful. I needed sleep. Alright. Let's, like, get this somewhere where you can see my face while I sign out. Out of focus, perfect. That way you can't see how horrible my face is. So, today we finished off this strife, which is going off to Jomo. Thank you all for dropping by and watching this process. I think this thing came out awesome. I hope Jomo thinks so too. And, yeah, I'll see you guys at the very least next week. I've been doing these, Saturday nights. Because apparently I don't have anything better to do. But, yeah. I'll see y'all later. Get out of my house.